Welcome to Strategies to Accelerate Growth, a video series featuring CohnReznick's private equity professionals. Today I'm talking with Jim Ambrosini. Jim, how do private equity firms view cybersecurity today?
They've taken greater consideration for it, but frankly they have a long way to go. I think part of the problem is they don't believe that they're as much of a target as they really are, when actually evidence shows that most of the breaches actually occur in middle market companies.
So for private equity firms, what are the actual risks associated with the cyber breach?
Well, there's really two main risks that companies deal with when they get hit with a cyber attack. One is a direct financial risk, dealing with the costs of the litigation and consultants and lawyers trying to fix the problem. And that averages anywhere, depending on the study, from $3.5 to about $6 million on average, and then many multiples of that, depending on the size of the company. But to private equity firms, the real risk is in the reputational damage. If they sustain a breach, it could affect their ability to raise capital.
How does a comprehensive cybersecurity program help companies achieve growth?
Well, I can tell you from working with many companies that have sustained a breach, we've seen that they could be out of commission for days, weeks, or spend even months trying to get things back to normal. And again, those costs are millions and millions of dollars. If you could avoid all of that with some basic protection mechanisms in place, it will go a long way to the bottom line.
Jim, SEC regulations have been somewhat vague when it comes to cybersecurity. Do you see that changing?
Most definitely. In fact, the SEC, as well as numerous other regulatory bodies, have made cybersecurity a priority in their examinations. So there's basic things that they're looking for and that private equity firms need to ensure they have in place, such as annual risk assessments, policies and procedures, as well as both technical and process-related controls to be able to identify, protect, and detect a breach.
And do the SEC regulations apply to just private equity firms or private equity firms and their portfolio companies?
Well, they would apply to any registrant of the SEC, which would be mostly the private equity firm at the fund level. But nevertheless, those security standards should permeate downwards and be driven by the fund level to have good cyber hygiene in the portfolio companies.
And when a private equity firm is looking at a portfolio company or a potential portfolio company, what does it mean if they do not have proper cybersecurity in place?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, there's a huge business risk associated with that. But more importantly, in almost every case of diligence that I've done where I've seen bad cybersecurity at a portfolio or at a target, it usually is symptomatic of other things. So typically we find a correlation between bad cybersecurity as well as technology controls and systems that are in need of replacement as well.
So what advice would you give a private equity firm that was looking to become more cyber secure?
I think the best thing I would tell them would be to evaluate cyber risk as part of any other business risk. That means give it careful consideration, make sure you have the proper programs in place, and make sure it aligns to the risks of your company as well as the expectations of your partners and investors.